thing that I am going to let you know right now before I forget, back in April of 2010, the city of Corpus went through a plan consolidation, because back then there were 3 providers here for the city. It was Valid, who covered like just PD, and then you had Nationwide and ICMARC. Well, we ended up winning the contract at that time, so we had a 5-year contract, which, just so that you are aware, it is going to be coming up the end of 2015. So you've got me here for 1 more year for sure. The city, I guess, whenever they have their committee meetings, and which they do them on a quarterly basis, they'll be going through a voting process to see. I know initially we had the unions involved, because there was voting that went through. So just be aware, because this program that I'm going to be talking to you about, this is part of the contract. So the contract ends up terminating, or if they decide to renew, the renewals are in 2-year increments, just so that you know about that. So, and feel free to ask me questions as we are going. And I know on this here, you've already had somebody that came up and talked to you about your investment risk. Some people have had their accounts, they're pretty happy with the way the growth has been going, and you're comfortable when the markets are going down and your account balances are fluctuating up and down, and you know that it is a long-term investment. So everyone is going to have the ability to set their accounts up in whichever manner you want. Somebody might want to have an 80-20 mix, where 80% of it is in stocks and the other 20% is in bonds. Over the long haul, generally you will end up making a little bit more money that way, because you are in higher risk funds. But as you're getting closer to retirement, it's always a good idea for you to start looking at tapering away from the high risk investments, and what monies is it that you're going to be drawing from whenever you do get ready to start taking those distributions. There is, what they call like a bucket list order, or bucket order. You may want to have some of your money in fixed accounts, and then some in a low, medium, and then high risk. So when you start receiving your distributions, you generally want to start pulling from your fixed accounts. They've always had, the rule of, withdrawing 4 or 5% of your monies, so that you're not running out of money, you're not outliving it, and it makes it a little bit easier to keep track of what you have. If you're wanting to have it a little bit, then if you're taking too much money out, there's a chance that you may end up running out of money. So having that set up in a manner that's going to be sufficient for you is one of the things that we need to discuss on that. So this program that we have here is the Retirement Income Advantage Fund. They call it a RIA. This is something that will give you guaranteed income. We ended up bringing this out back in, a couple years ago, and brought this program. We contracted through Prudential. We were finding that when people were retiring, they were wanting to have guaranteed income coming to them, and they were leaving the company and going and transferring their monies into annuity products. Well, an annuity is generally set up with about 60% in stocks and 40% in bonds. Most of your annuities are. So that's what we brought out for you, so that you would have another option here with your deferred compensation program. And hopefully we could retain those assets here instead of having you go out anywhere else. And of course, with every annuity, there are costs that are associated, but we contracted through Prudential to make sure that those fees were going to stay low for you. And what this is, it's going to, it is a 60-40 mix, and it's, even if the market does happen to go down, at least you know that you're going to have the guarantee of the money that you originally came in with, which I'll show you here in a little bit. So there are 2 different values that we mark, that we keep track of. Initially, let's say that you were retiring and you were going to end up rolling in, or you had an account balance of $100,000. So that's going to be your income base. So we're going to keep track of what the original money that you put into that fund. Because if you've got If you've got an account balance of $200,000, but you only want $100,000 of that to go into this annuity product, you can divide it out however it is that you want to. So on the portion that you move in there, you have your income base, and then we're still going to keep track of the stock market itself. The other day, a few weeks ago, the market declined like over 300 points in just one day. Members who were already in this didn't have anything to worry about because even though their account balances went down, which was the true market value, we were still keeping track of the original income base that came in. So if that person had already been receiving distributions, this product keeps you from, having to get a reduced amount on your monthly payment. If you see over on the income base where we have the little cupcake with the candle, what happens is once you enter into the program, every year on your birthday, we're going to look to see what your new income base is at that point, or your new market value. If the market has gone up, you came in with $100,000 and now you're at $112,000 on your birthday, then that's going to be your new amount that we're going to be tracking. So it takes that into account too. If the market happens to go down and the next year for your birthday, we're not going to reduce the amount on that part of it. Okay. Now, when I was telling you a little bit ago, there are, if you're taking distributions, if you're wanting for your money to last you, there are always, restrictions on how much money you can take out. So that normally they'll use a 4% rule, and that's what this slide here is. One of the other benefits of you being a city employee and going into this product is that as a city employee, you can start taking distributions from your accounts without any 10% penalty at the age of 55 or older. Well, when we contracted through Prudential, we made sure that they were going to allow you to do that because generally on an annuity product, you have to wait till you're 59 and a half or older in order to eliminate the 10% penalty. So here, they're allowing you to start taking distributions early and you don't have to worry about the additional 10% penalty. So for a single benefit, if it's just going to be a lifetime guarantee for you alone, depending on the ages, 55 to 64, you can take 4.25% of your total account balance out without depleting the account over your lifetime. Because we are going to go by mortality schedules, so we have to make sure that you're going to have enough money to last you in retirement. The spousal benefit, so long as your spouse is at least the age of 55 or older whenever you start receiving this benefit, then you can also do a spousal lock-in. This way, if anything should happen to you, you know that your spouse is going to continue getting that retirement benefit for the rest of their life as well. So here are the charts, where I was talking about where we keep track of your income base and then of course the market value. So even if the market value drops, you're still going to get paid on the higher amount that you had on your annual birthday. Okay, so this slide here talks about the decrease in your amounts. And there is a way that it is going to end up decreasing. Just like now with your standard deferred compensation program, if you came in and you said, you know what, I need $10,000 taken out of my account. Well, we're going to send you that $10,000. Of course, we're going to tax you on it. This allows you to do the same thing. Just because that slide said that you can only take 4.25 or 5% or 5.5%, you're still allowed to come in and take partial lump sum distributions out of this annuity product. Or you can take them out of the separate account. If you had part of it in the annuity and then part of it still in the standard, plus fund or one of the other mutual funds, you can pull it out of that one and you don't reduce the income base on this. If you're pulling it out of here, you take $10,000 out, well now we have to readjust your lifetime benefit because you just took a big portion of that money out. So it reduces your lifetime annuity. And then here, okay, so how did you move that up?
Here's the arrow.
Okay. All right, this is talking to you about, since we have the contract right now through the city. Well, no, I'm sorry, it's not this slide. Here on this one, of course, you can't take additional monies out if you wanted to. If you wanted to get out of the annuity, so you've been participating in it for a few years, and then you decide, you know what, I don't want you controlling how much money I'm going to be taking out, and you want to go back into the mutual funds that you had before, or possibly into the plus fund, you are allowed to do that. Normally, if you go into an annuity on the outside, if you're wanting to transfer out of that annuity, you generally have to do a 1035 exchange. You have to go from one annuity to another annuity. So if you're with New York Life and you want to go to another insurance company, well, it has to go from annuity to annuity. Here, because it's another fund within your 457 plan, if you've got part of your assets in this fund and you decide you don't like it and you want to come back into the funds that you had before, you do have the ability to do that. And there are no redemption fees to do that part of it. Now, as far as the amount that you're going to take out, we're tracking the two different balances. So if the market happens to be down and you're wanting to move back into your original funds, you're taking the market value that's in it, the true market value. So if you're going to want to move back into the other funds, you want to make sure you do it when the market is up, because you're going to take that market value to move back over to your original funds. And then in the event of your passing, well, your beneficiaries, this is where it's a little bit different from a standard annuity on the outside as well. Here, any money that is still in your account, whoever your beneficiaries are, they are going to get that amount. Prudential is not going to keep any of the assets that are in your account. The way that they can do that too, of course, is the fees. So this one here, it's a 1.72% that is charged. The guarantee that you're going to be getting that lifetime benefit, 1% goes to Prudential. Generally, if you go with an outside vendor, it's going to be at least 3% or more that you're going to be paying to them because they are asset-based. But here, it's just 1% that goes to Prudential. The other 0.72% is the mutual funds that are within that annuity product. So you at least have that there. And this, of course, well, Prudential has been a very strong company. That's one of the reasons that we ended up going with them. If anything was ever to happen to them, then of course you would end up getting your market value on that. Okay, so here, let's say that you ended up leaving the city and you decided you did not want to participate here with them. You could always transfer your money into an IRA, or you could move it right back into the original funds that you had here with us. Now here on the second bullet there, the plan sponsor changes. If the contract here that we have through the city ends up terminating and a new company comes in, they have the ability to continue with Prudential. They can, have that so that you're still going to have that annuity product. If they decide not to do that, then you would have to make a decision on what you were going to want to do with those monies. So generally, anytime a new provider comes in, everybody that's in the plan, whether you're retired or still employed, is going to be part of that new plan, just so that you are aware of that. If you decide you don't want to go in with the new employer plan, if a new one comes in, you would have to transfer your monies to an IRA on the outside so that you can eliminate your money having to be stuck to the new employer plan. I think that's it on that part. So the people that generally consider going into this annuity, normally it's going to be somebody who's at least 50 years old or older, or you're already getting pretty close to retirement. Those are the folks that generally decide to go into a product like this. We do have some people, are they not in order? Or am I missing some people?
Here was that.
Oh, okay. All right. So if you decide you want to get into this This fund, you can do that either by going online, you can call the 800 number. If you want to, right now that the markets are pretty volatile, they're bouncing up and down quite a bit, and you decide you want to move your money in there just for a safeguard so that you know that whatever amount you put in there, you're guaranteed to still have that amount in the event that the market does decline. You have the ability to do that as well. Okay, the one thing that I didn't put in here because I couldn't catch it. How do I get to the other slide that I have? There was in the presentations there that you have, there should be the limitation sheet. It's like a chart, it'll be there at the very back. These are the new IRS guidelines. Now, there were questions a while ago about your drag-up pay. There are deadlines if you're going to. I know a lot of you have quite a bit of vacation and sick time. Oh, and this sheet too, I'll get back to the catch-up provision here in just a second. This here is going to tell you, if you can see over, like on the left-hand side, the income base, depending on what the amount is that you have in your account, and the age at which you're going to start taking the distribution, this gives you like a guideline that you can go by on how much money you can withdraw from that fund without running out of any money in retirement. Yes, sir.
Just one little thing, the single benefit or the spouse benefit, when you decide to start doing it, you're checking one of those boxes.
Yes.
So if I check this single benefit and I die, then it ends.
Well,
if I check spousal, then she continues to get
she continues getting the lifetime, right? Okay. She continues getting the lifetime. But
I mean, if I die, she gets the benefit.
She
she's
gets
the beneficiary, I understand.
Yes, she's going to get it anyway. Yeah, we're not going to keep any of your money. But that's what this is. I just wanted to make sure I'd never attached this to this thing before. I just wanted to make sure that you had that so that you can have some sort of an idea on what you're going to have. So we go back to the catch-up provision sheet. The reason that there are deadlines for you to let us know, I always tell everybody, you know, you're having these retirement seminars in October. You have to have your drag-up forms, which are the city forms. You have to have those in place to the city before the end of November. And the reason being is the payroll department and the finance department have to get together to figure out what the amount is that you're going to be sheltering for that 1 year. Because if you can do the 2 years back to back, so this year, of course, coming up for 2015, it's going to be a little bit higher than it was last year. So if you're retiring under the age of 50 or at 50 and under, the amount that you can shelter is going to be $53,000. They're going to take the $35,000 for this year, and then for next year it's going up to $18,000. Because right now it's $17,500 if you're under 50. So those two amounts combined is what they're going to allow you to shelter. But the only way to do that is the city has to forward part of the money in December to close out that calendar year so that it's reflected on your W-2, and then open the new year in January where you can do the other amount. So if you're retiring, you know, under the age of 50, you're allowed for next year to roll in $18,000 out of your drag-up pay. If you're 50 and over, it's going to go up to $24,000, where this year it's $23,000. So those two combined. So if you're over the age of 50, then it's up to $59,000 out of your drag-up pay that you can shelter from taxes.
2 year period.
2 year. On that chart, the IRS limitations, yes, sir.
Oh, on the bottom.
At the very top, where it's got the 457 up here. If you look at 2015 and 2014, so 2014, that third column where it says that No, I'm sorry, the middle one where it's got pre-retirement catch-up. Okay. On that for 2014, 35,000. 2014 is 35,000. For 2015, you can't use the pre-retirement catch-up, you can only use the age 50 provision. So that would be 24,000. So you take 35 and the 24 and add those together, and that takes you up to 59,000. Yes?
One more question. If you're already maxing out on pay period deferments, is there any more in addition to that you can do from your drag up?
What we do, there's a worksheet that we have to fill out. So we're going to go back to when you were originally employed, and we're going to find all the years in there that you did not maximize your contributions. Because it used to be like $7,000, and then it went up to $75,000, then to $8,000, $8,500. So if you were not maximizing your contributions in every year since you've been employed, we'll find out all the years that you had money is available, that you could have been doing that. That's where we can do the catch-up.
Okay.
Part of it.
And then that would be, you said earlier, 59,000 for the last 2 years, so you could go back?
Yeah, well, it's a 3-year catch-up.
Okay.
So in the 3-year catch-up, so let's say you wanted to catch up right now for 2014. You can do 35, and let's say you're not retiring next year. So for 2015, you can do 36, and then if it doesn't change for the following year, then you can do 36 or 36 if they don't change it. So you get 3 years that you can do this out of your own pocket. So for this year, that 35,000, that comes out to like $1,346 per payday that you can shelter out of your own pocket without using any drag pay. Yeah. So you have your 3-year catch-up. So the first 2 years can be done out of your own paycheck. And then the 3rd year is where you can do your drag-up rollovers to do that. Does that make sense? Okay.
The city allows us to catch up. We file all the paperwork,
The IRS allows
right?
you, yes.
I'm just saying, the city.
Yes, but the paperwork, yes. If, yeah, the catch-up form, and there should be a catch-up form in there as well. So if you're still going to be here for another 3 years and you want to take advantage of doing your own payroll contributions for that, then just let me know and we'll get that squared away. If all you're wanting to do is set this up so that when you do retire, just make sure you're within that 3-year window, because once you sign that catch-up form, it's only good for a 3-year period. If you decide to stay into 4 or 5 years later, then it's already null and void, and all you can do is just what you're allowed for your age. Did you have a question back there? No?
Okay, so say I want to leave in May of 2016. So go see you like November of 2015 or October?
Yeah, I would prefer it would be in
As soon as
October.
possible.
Yes.
Okay.
October, only because you're going to have 2 different drag-up forms that you have to pick up from the HR department.
Yeah.
Or you can, I think Sandra has them here as well, and possibly Monette. You can go and see them to pick those forms up. They both have to be completed. You're going to have to get the chief to sign, the finance director, everybody's got to sign off on that. You do have to submit a letter stating that you are planning to retire. And the letter is actually something that we started requesting, or the city started requesting, because several years ago we had someone who came in, they did all their paperwork and said they were going to retire. In December, the city forwarded I think back then it was like $28,000 that went in from payroll into that. And come the end of that year, they decided they didn't want to retire. And that money had already been forwarded. So now we're going to make you give us a commitment. If you decide you're going to retire, you need to retire. So that, none of us get in trouble through the IRS. Because once all that happens, then we have to go through all kinds of stuff to get that money sent back. And it W-2s redone, and all that, so causes a lot of chaos. Now, are there any other questions on the deferred compensation part or the catch-up? Okay, I do want to let you know, or just to give you a reminder, and I'm pretty sure they take care of this through the pension. There's a $3,000 tax-free amount that comes to you so long as your money, so long as your insurance premiums are getting paid either directly from your pension, the checks that you're going to be getting, pays it directly to your insurance, or you take it from your deferred comp. You can only do one or the other. But so long as that money is going directly to pay for your medical premiums, then at the end of the year, $3,000 of that money is tax-free money to you because you're a firefighter. So it's only good for police and fire. So just make sure that if you, when you get to retirement and you go and fill out your paperwork, that you fill out the form for that so that you can have it on there. The other thing is the loans. Back in 2010, we brought in the loan provision for the city of San Antonio, sorry. I travel all over the place for Corpus. And when we brought that in, the loan provision allows you to take out loans for a 5-year period, or if you're doing a residential, it's for a 10-year period. The only thing that I do want to let you know is if you still have an existing balance on your loan whenever you retire, we give you 30 days from the date of separation to take care of that loan payment. If you don't pay that money back in, then at the end of the year, of course, you're going to get a 1099 and you'll have to pay tax, which right now is 20%. So 20% tax. But just think of this too. I mean, it's your option. You're either going to take it from, let's say you're drag pay. The city pays you, you roll in your $59,000 and you still have another $14,000 left or so. And that happens to be the amount of your loan balance. Well, when the city pays you that $14,000, they're going to tax you 20%, or maybe even more. Then you're going to take that money that you've already paid tax on to pay off your loan. Now you're going to be in retirement and you're going to start receiving distributions. When you get to that amount again, you're going to owe tax on that amount. So it's essentially going to be double taxed money. So it's up to you, if you still have an open balance, whether you want to pay that loan off or just go ahead and pay the tax. So you only pay the tax one time. Okay. So just keep that in mind if you have a balance open at that time. One other thing that we did bring to retirees now, people usually want to know, how much is my money, or how long is my money going to last me? There are retiree calculators on our website, so you can log in and plug in a number and say, well, I plan to have, $200,000 in my account, and this is how old I am, and I want to see what if I start taking, $500 a month out of my account. How long is this money going to last? That's going to depend too on what you haven't invested in. If you have, your account set up just in a fixed account, well, right now that plus fund is only earning like 2%. So chances are you're not even going to be keeping up with inflation, and that money is going to get depleted pretty quickly. So if you're wanting for your money to last you a little bit longer, this entire time you've had your money set up in mutual funds or a mix of different types of funds, you should at least try to feel comfortable to still have it set up like that. Because generally, if the markets are going to go down for a year or 2 years, you're going to have normally 3, 4, sometimes 5 years of recovery. So your mutual funds or the stock portion will always outperform your bonds or your fixed accounts. So, and I'm sure you've heard that from so many different people. But just so you know, you have that. And then also December 9th and 10th, we are doing retirement seminars for the civilian employees here. We have a certified financial planner, Rick Stern, who is going to be coming down as well. And that is a free service for you. If you go and you try to hire a certified financial planner, chances are you're going to be paying $100 or $200 an hour for the service. Rick will provide this service for you for free. You just have to let me know, or write down his email address. It's rstern, rstern@icmarc.org. And you can send him an email, and you can let him know that, you're about to retire and you want to schedule an appointment with him for when he does come down. And this way, we can have him find a place where we can set you up to visit with him. Okay? Any other questions? Yes, sir.
When you join the Income Advantage Fund,
Are you immediately set up for your market value or your income, what did you call it?
The income base and the
Base,
market
yes.
value? Yes.
And
As
so the
soon as
day you
money
join-
comes in.
And then each birthday, like you said, after that is reevaluated, correct?
Right. Every year on your birthday, we're going to take a look to see what your new balance is. So if it's a higher amount, that becomes your new income base.
I remember one of these seminars before, you said that you had to log in on particular days. What's that about?
Your lock-in is just like when you're retiring right now, you're going and letting Gracie know that you're about to retire. And that's like your lock-in. You're locking in a date with her. She's going to tell you what your annuity is going to be for your lifetime. That's what we call a lock-in. So, I don't know who came up with these terms, but that's what it is.
When you reach 55 years, your birth is 55 years after that, right? Not before 55 years old?
What was the question again?
Like for this, your fund you're talking about now, so as soon as I turn 55, lock in?
You can, yes, you can move into the fund anytime you want to.
Okay.
If you're 45 years old and you're tired of all this fluctuation, you want to make sure that you're going to have a guaranteed amount in there and your account happens to be at an all-time high, you can move it in now.
Okay.
But in order to start receiving distributions, you do have to be 55 or older. Is there anyone who is going to be retiring under the age of 55? Possibly? Okay. And the only reason I want to ask is just to clarify, it is the age of 55 when you become penalty-free for, your drop rollovers. But just keep this in mind, it's the calendar year that you turn 55. So if you're retiring in January and you're 54 years old, but December 31st of that same year, you will be turning 55, you're already penalty-free. Now, if you do retire before that, so you're 53 years old, and of course you just don't want to wait the additional year to get you to that, there is still a way for you to eliminate the 10% penalties if you're going to start taking distributions from the money that you rolled in from your pension. It's called a 72T distributions. We just have to make sure that we get you to take equal distributions from your money to get you past the age of 59 and a half, and you can eliminate the 10% penalties. So there's always ways to get around that. Now, the one thing that you do want to do is, we're going to keep track, we're going to code your account separate. So all of your payroll contributions that have been going in, any drag-up money that comes in, all of that came from your payroll check. So that has a 457 code. If you do rollovers from your drop, that has a 401 code. So we're going to keep track of those different monies, even though your account balances are going to be combined. When you start taking distributions, the recommendation is going to be that you draw from your 457 monies, because those are non-penalty monies altogether. So draw from that first, and then if you're still under 59 and a half when you start getting to the other amount, you have the option of not taking a distribution until you turn 59 and a half, or we can do the 72T to keep you from having the additional penalties. So we're here to help you out with all of that, and even in retirement, I still have at least another 13 years before I hit that, so I'm going to be here for you, and just, let me know if you